Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the show. This is episode 254, Getting the Most from Your Wealth Advisor. Cory, thank you for joining me back on Upticks.
Hello, Jake. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back.
And thank you all for tuning in. We are very humbled. Our subscriber count continues to grow. So certainly, if you think our content's any good, please like, share, subscribe. That's the best way that you're not going to miss an episode. And it's the best way that other people will hopefully enhance their financial literacy, which is the whole point of Upticks. Cory, we've got a lot of important information to talk about today as far as getting the most from your wealth advisor. But before we dive in, do you have any fun tidbits you want to share? Are you watching any shows? You're reading any books? I know you and Cassie just got back from vacation. Anything cool you want to share with the audience?
No, not really. We had a great trip. We've had some holidays tucked in there. So more than anything, Jake, now that we are ultimately, we're just looking forward to being back here for the rest of the summer and kind of getting back into a normal routine here.
And I know you told me this morning that you were back out on the paddle court and no injuries. So good job on that. Stay safe out there. We don't want you getting hurt again. I know you love playing those racket sports. As far as me, I'm reading a really cool book called The Bond King about Bill Gross. Just started it, but it's been really cool to read. That guy's got a pretty impressive career. Obviously, if anyone in the investment world follows bonds, he was one of the heads of PIMCO and had a very successful career. So I'm excited to read that. My golf game, sadly, after I just played in this big member guest tournament down in Tulsa, where I did not play well, when I came back to Kansas City, magically, I'm playing great. I think I shot 73 the other day. I shot 76 from the back tees at another course. So golf is peaking. I hope I can just continue the rest of the year playing good golf. And I don't know what's going on, but seem to have found a little bit of a groove here. So that's been fun.
That's good.
So hopefully I can keep that rolling. Okay. So for today, though, Cory, you and I want to talk about 5 ways to get the most from your wealth advisor. And as we dive into it, I wanted to start with number 1 here, which is first off defining it, because the problem, one of the pet peeves of the financial services industry, and I don't know why we do this, but advisors call themselves all different titles. There's financial advisor, there's wealth advisor, there's investment representative, there's private advisor, private wealth advisor, insurance agent, broker, blah, blah, blah. And Cory, I don't understand why the industry has done this. It's probably some sort of marketing sales deal, or probably has something to do with licensing. But I just want clients to understand, or our audience to understand, that the most important thing is that you're working with a fiduciary. And all that is somebody that's legally bound to act in your best interest. And you have to be careful because some fiduciaries are hybrid. So not only will they do that, they'll also try to sell you products. So you just want to make sure and ask your advisor, hey, are you fiduciary with all my stuff all the time? And regardless of what they want to call themselves, in my opinion, that's the most important factor you want to look for. And another quick tip on this before, Cory, I let you go into number 2, is that you can actually go and look up your advisor on BrokerCheck. So BrokerCheck's out there as a public website. You can type in Jake Falcon or Cory Bittner, and you can see all of the firms that I've worked at, all of the licenses that both you and I have. And most importantly, you should check to see if we have any disclosures. And a disclosure is just a formal issue that you've had in the past, typically with a client. Now, again, it doesn't mean the advisor's bad. Things can happen, but it's a good way to check a track record of who you're working with. So it's just a way to have the official record. Okay, who am I working with? Where have they worked before? And have they had any issues in the past working with clients? It's just a good way to have transparency. So number 1, make sure they're fiduciary all the time with all your stuff, and make sure you check out their background. Cory, you have anything before we go into number 2?
I'm ready to move on if you are.
Let's hear it.
All right. So the second tip number 2, is the key is to work with an advisory team not a solo advisor or an individual. So Jake, you just kind of highlighted and explained how there is a plethora of different names that people can call themselves in our business, and ultimately what it all has to do with. But I think it's important to understand that. It's important to understand the broker check like you described. It's also important to understand not only just the advisor that you're working with, but who that advisor has surrounded themselves with. And a reason that this is really pertinent and relevant right now, or in the world today, is that I really think the years of, Jake, if you or me was a client and we were working with an advisor, the days of working with an individual advisor one-on-one, maybe just myself, an advisor, and a secretary, or whatever else it may be, I think that ship has sailed. Those days have come and gone, especially as technology has continued to advance in the service offering that firms like Falcon Wealth Advisors continue to improve upon or enhance. I really just think it's crucial to make sure you're working with a team. You're not relying upon any one individual person, and you really want to make sure you're working with a team where the advisors have surrounded themselves with smart, intelligent, licensed professionals.
Right. And I actually want to elaborate on that a little bit, Cory, as you were saying that. I also want to point out, don't let your advisor throw smoke at you and say, well, I've got this huge virtual office, or I've got this great back office. When you and I are talking about team, we literally are talking about people in our office that are working next to us and meeting with our clients every day. So again, at Falcon Wealth Advisors, there's 17 of us roughly that are working with our clients. And so we've got financial planners, operations people, investment people, and then you and I as the wealth advisors overseeing all of it. We're not talking about, oh, we've got this wonderful back office in New York or whatever, or St. Louis. No, these people are in our office. They know our clients personally. They're working on our client issues and helping them with financial planning and investments. It's not some guy in New York that doesn't even care or know who our clients are. And I agree with you. Not to say that solo advisors are bad people. My argument is, I don't know how any advisor with any group of clients can compete with an advisor that has a team. So again, maybe your advisor only has 5 clients or 10 clients, which again would be a red flag to begin with, in my opinion. But any advisor with any larger group of clients, and I'm talking literally only over 25, 50, 100 clients, in our opinion, it's very difficult to properly serve those clients. It's very difficult to properly advise those clients, and it's very difficult to properly manage the investments of those clients. And so you can put me up head to head against a solo advisor all day long, and I'm going to show our clients the bench of professionals that we have at Falcon Wealth Advisors, all looking at their stuff there for our clients. And I don't know about you, Cory, but again, if I'm going to trust my hard-earned money, my life savings, I would much rather have many people looking at my stuff and helping manage it versus just one. I don't care who it is. I don't care how good they are. You just have one person. If they've got a large group of clients, it's very difficult for them to offer the same amount of service and attention to detail that our team at Falcon Wealth Advisors is aiming for each and every day with our clients.
That's good, Jake. I just wanted to point out, it's funny though, you made that comment about, a big virtual office or somebody else in New York or wherever it might be. I laughed when you said that, Jake, because I read recently, it wasn't a wealth management firm. I actually don't remember the specific business, but I just saw this past weekend I was reading, there was a firm that described itself as having over 500 years of combined experience. And I saw that and I was like, what does that even mean? Anyway.
Yeah, that's a marketing trick too. I mean, again, you have 50 people with 10 years experience, you've got 500 years of experience or whatever, but it's like, does that really mean anything? I don't understand. I don't understand when people throw numbers like that out there. Really, it should be about credentials, background, where your area of specialization is, who you work with, and, look at all that going into it. But yeah, that is interesting. But, to point it out though, like when I go see my dentist, it's not just him and a receptionist. He's got dental hygienists in there helping him do everything. And I like that. There's more people involved in running his operation versus just him, right? And I can't, I'm stretched to find a true professional that's serving a large group of people well, that's just doing it on their own. The human is not capable of doing, we're just not capable as humans of really delivering on that when you're serving, again, a larger group of people. And I'm talking not thousands, I'm talking dozens or hundreds here, So again, it's a lot of information to keep straight. It's a lot of detail. It's a lot of rules. It's a lot of different lives involved as far as the client's goals and objectives. And so you want a team collaborating and helping you with that. Very good. Okay, so number 3, and this is one of the 2 things that we do. And Cory, I'll let you go over the second thing, but is financial planning. And what is that really? So what is, to get the most from your wealth advisor, what should a plan be and what should a plan not be? And I want to start with what a plan is not. A plan is not a financial roadmap. I get a little upset when advisors say that, because a roadmap, unless the county is literally carving out new roads, a roadmap is not designed to change. Whereas your life and your financial situation should change. I don't know if I have any clients, Cory, maybe you do, where their financial plan is to the penny of what we carved out for them 10 years ago. It just doesn't work that way. Their goals change, their objectives change, their jobs change, life situation changes, the market changes, their spending changes. So what you really should get from a financial plan is that you should treat it as a checkup, as a financial checkup of saying, hey, these are my goals today. These are my financial priorities. This is what's important to me. Am I doing all the right things in the most tax efficient manner possible, taking the least amount of risk possible so that I can carry out the things that are important to me and my family? And you should do that checkup regularly with your advisor, at least once a year, maybe twice a year or more, depending on what's going on in your life. But that's what a financial plan should be. So it should be ironing out what's important to you, why money is important to you, right? What are you looking to accomplish? What does your dream retirement look like? Ironing out those financial goals, changing those goals as your life changes, and then projecting it out 20, 30, 40 years just to make sure that trajectory is going in the right direction. And one thing that we do that a lot of other advisors don't do is we'll also take it to the next level and we'll review your taxes every year. And again, we are not CPAs as far as looking to file your taxes. We're doing tax planning. So we want to make sure that your financial plan and that your tax situation are all aligned and that everything's moving the direction that you prefer. And if it's not, the beauty is that we can make changes, we can make adjustments, we can give you advice on what you need to do to get that financial plan headed in the direction that's most important to you and your family. Cory, did I miss anything on the financial planning piece?
No, I think that's really good. And I think that, the reality is making sure that you're keeping those things updated, making sure that you're keeping those things adjusted. And ultimately, having that regular communication, Jake, a meeting with an advisor is what allows people to stay patient and committed and disciplined to making sure that they're making good choices for the long term.
Right. So take that financial plan. I don't like to relate it to the dentist because a lot of people don't like going to this, but it's just like going to the dentist, getting your eyes checked. Probably not as often as getting your hair cut. But again, it's just a checkup. Let's refresh things. Let's check in on your priorities. Let's take a look at your tax situation. Let's look at your goals and objectives. And let's make sure everything is moving in the direction that we want it to move. And let's be dynamic and fluid. And let's roll with your life as your life changes. It's not a static map. And it's not set in stone. It shouldn't be set in stone. It should change. It should be updated. It should be reviewed. And that, again, maps typically aren't that way. And so, again, not a roadmap. You don't need to follow it to the penny. It's basically a check-in. Where are we at? Where are we going? Are all those things still important? Are we doing all the right things to make that happen? What's the fourth one, Cory?
Yes. So the fourth one, what we're going to talk about is the truth about investment management. And what I'm really referencing when I say the truth about investment management is when it comes down to investing your capital, whether it's in your 401k at work, whether it's in an account that you work with an advisor to manage, wherever it might be, when it comes down to investing, there's ultimately someone who is making the decisions of what to buy and sell, how to ultimately invest those funds. But what I think is important for folks to understand is really who's making those decisions. More specifically, when it comes to working with an advisor or an advisor team like we've talked about here today, ultimately, an advisor is someone who should be making the actual investment selections for their clients, particularly if that advisor is compensated that way. If they are ultimately compensated for investment management or they're charging a fee that's based upon the value of a portfolio, an advisor should be doing that. But I ultimately think, Jake, the truth about investment management is there's a lot of advisors that will not be as involved in the actual investment selection. They'll outsource that elsewhere. That's not to say that's inherently bad, but ultimately, I don't think that a client should be paying an advisor a asset management expense if that advisor is not managing the assets for them.
Right. That's a good point. And now I don't want, clients that aren't clients of Falcon Wealth Advisors to go pressure your advisor to go start trading stocks and bonds for you, because many circumstances, Cory, advisors aren't that qualified to do it. And that's why they use products, right? So again, to your point though, I don't think individuals should be paying advisors an advisory asset management fee unless the advisor is actually managing the assets. That's our huge pet peeve at Falcon Wealth Advisors. If a client or if an advisor is putting you in mutual funds or index or exchange traded funds or annuities or private equity or all these other products that all come with their own fees and different sets of managers, why in the world would you pay an advisor a fee to do that? Because you're in essence, in our opinion, you're paying double the fee. Now, it might not be 1 + 1, but you may be paying 2 fees is what I'm getting at. So why in the world? So again, if your advisor is outsourcing that, good. They have humbly admitted that they are not competent or capable of doing it. But in my opinion, you should ask them just to pay them either an hourly rate for their time or financial planning meetings. And that's it. Like, you should not be being billed on the size of your portfolio if the advisor is not managing the assets. And that's one thing we take very seriously at Falcon Wealth Advisors, is we literally, Cory, will buy and sell individual stocks and bonds, and for approved clients, options. And we manage that all in-house. We actually have 3 people that they don't meet with clients. They're in there monitoring our clients' accounts based on the rules that you and I have defined, and then their financial plans have aligned with, and we're managing it. And we own that, because ultimately our clients hire us to do that. I think that's the problem, is a lot of clients think when their advisor puts them in mutual funds that their advisors are driving that performance, when typically they're not. I mean, the advisor just picked a mutual fund, and to us, that's not rocket science. And so it's like, why are you paying someone a fee and then paying another person a fee to go pick your stocks? Just pay it once. Don't pay it twice. Pay one time in there. It's a real problem. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would argue, and I could be wrong, but I'd argue most advisors probably do use products. More use products probably than don't. And so you got to be very careful with what are you paying for, and are you getting the most from that advisor? Because I would challenge them, like, if you're just going to put me in products, why am I paying you 1% on my $1 million portfolio? Like, I could go put it in the products you tell me to and save myself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And so, again, you want to work with an advisor, in our opinion, that's going to own that. And again, at Falcon Wealth Advisors, we own that, and we buy the stocks and bonds and trade the options for our clients that are approved. And we just think that's, to us, there's no other way, in our opinion, to do it. Now, there's one caveat. If you've got money in a 401k and you don't have that option, obviously we're going to make the best of the situation. But ultimately, when you open an account with us, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to get out of those products, and we're making sure that we can invest directly for you and own it, own the performance, right?
Absolutely. Can I just tack one more thing onto that, though?
Please.
Jake?
Yeah.
Because
we
talked about the truth about investment management. You talked about financial planning. I've talked about investment management. I think one other important variable to at least point out, and I know that we've talked about it some on the show in episodes past, but that is that when you think about financial planning and investment management, they're ultimately both important. They're ultimately both offerings of a lot of firms, certainly of Falcon Wealth Advisors. But I think that it's important for people to understand that one is not inherently much more important than the other one. And from my perspective, when we do the work on the front end with clients, when we meet regularly and review that financial plan, that's not a map, Jake. It's not static. It's supposed to change. But when we have those meetings, the whole idea is we ultimately want to invest the capital to fuel the plan, so you can ultimately do the things that you want to do. But trying to have a stellar investment portfolio with no financial plan, or a great financial plan with no investment portfolio, neither of those situations is going to be perfect, or is even going to be very good. So the point is, they're both important, but really the relationship between the two is very close together, and they should be treated that way. Your plan shouldn't be conservative, but your investment portfolio hyper aggressive, or vice versa.
That's a really good point. And so much work goes into both of those and making sure they're lined up. I also want to encourage clients, like, don't think that you can just shoot from the hip, because that's one of the byproducts of us picking individual stocks for our clients, is that from time to time a client will hear a stock tip, or they'll get an email or watch something on TV, and they'll want us to go speculate in some random stock. And they don't understand that, like, we are building out a portfolio that's designed to align with their financial plan. And when you start throwing these random stocks in there, you're really going to start messing up the portfolio. It's like, if you're cooking, if you're making tacos or whatever, you're probably not going to put, spaghetti sauce in your taco, right? It just doesn't really, maybe some people do, but I don't. And so it just doesn't make sense. Or and so it's like, why do you want to add these random ingredients into something that's been so well thought out and prepared that's aligned to your financial plan? Now, if your financial plan changes, then let's revisit the investment mix and see if we need to change that. But, again, you're right. They're very important. That's why, we mentioned both of them. So to get the most out of your advisor, you want to make sure your financial plan is as accurate and as up to date as possible, and that your investments are aligned with that financial plan. And that's what we review when we review, and that's why it's so important.
That's great. That's it.
Good. And the last part, we want to talk about fees. We don't like the word fees at Falcon Wealth Advisors, so we say costs. And again, ultimately, I posted this. I don't know if you saw this on July 4th, Cory. Back on July 4th, I posted, freedom isn't free, and neither is financial advice. So if somebody's telling you that it's free, that's a huge red flag. If they're not transparent with you how much it costs, that's a huge red flag. If they're using investment products and they don't tell you how much those investment products cost, that's a huge red flag. So again, you just want to have a level of transparency. I don't think financial advice should be free. Certainly, if you're going to hire a team like Falcon Wealth Advisors, we have to pay salaries. We have to pay rent, right? All that stuff costs money. We have to, pay for our continuing education and all those things. So you want to know what you're paying, how it's billed, and what makes sense for you. Our range is actually published on our website. So if you go to www.falconwealthadvisors.com and you drill down there about our process and what we do, you can see our cost schedules right there. We literally own it and have it out there for the whole public to see. So I won't spoil it. So again, we can direct everyone to falconwealthadvisors.com, Cory, if you want to check out what we charge. But again, we're transparent with it. It gets billed directly to the account. It's right on the account statement. And it comes out every quarter for our clients. So we divide it by 4 and it comes out every quarter. But we don't have varying costs for different. Some advisors will charge more for stocks and less for bonds. We don't believe in that because it creates an unnecessary conflict of interest. So again, it's a flat percentage based on the value of the account. The more you have, the lower that rate. We are doing more work, but we try to tier it so that it kind of evens out a little bit. But again, you just want to work with somebody that's transparent. They can articulate what you're paying, how much it is, when it's billed, and you can clearly find it and look it up. And that's really what's most important. And just know if somebody's not quoting their cost to you, they probably have a hidden agenda, and their cost is probably a lot higher than it needs to be. So you got to be careful with that. It's not free. Don't think you're getting it for free. Even your 401k is charging you. A lot of people think that their 401ks are free. It doesn't work that way unless the employer is explicitly saying we're paying every single fee for you, which I don't know if any that do. Maybe some do, Cory. I'm sure out there somewhere, maybe. But again, you got to understand that there's a cost. We think there can be a tremendous amount of value when you're working with the right team, but you just want to understand what that is. Did I miss anything there?
I don't think so.
That's good. We covered it all. So again, quick recap to get the most from your advisor. I apologize on behalf of the entire financial services industry. We have all these goofy names. Really, you want to be working with a fiduciary. Check their background on broker check. Team is very important. If your advisor is working out of their basement and they don't have an office, they don't have a team around them, I would be a little leery of that because again, it's easy for things to get overlooked sometimes. And again, I'm not saying solo advisors are bad. I'm saying it's very difficult for them to compete with companies like Falcon Wealth Advisors because they got a lot of people looking at our clients' accounts. Financial planning, understand that's not a roadmap. It's a living, breathing document that should be reviewed regularly. And the investments simply need to line up with that financial plan. And then know what you pay, know what that rate is, know exactly what you're getting for that, and what a clear expectation is of that. That way you understand it in there. And be, again, huge red flag if somebody tells you that it's free. Somebody's getting paid somewhere. Good. Did I miss anything, Cory?
No, I think really just the kind of final parting thoughts I have is you were going through the recap there, and I heard you when I was thinking it through. But what I really think, when it comes down to getting the most out of working with your advisor and your advisor team, I think Jake, you and I have talked about this, but I think for clients, right, establishing regular communication, right, being transparent, that always goes both ways. Jake, I know you probably feel that way with the clients you work with, and I do too. The more effective communication that we have, the more clear we can be on objectives in both directions. That just is really what helps to foster a healthy relationship and a partnership where the interests are ultimately aligned. So everything we've talked through here today, I think, is really helpful for clients to understand. But I ultimately think that communicating clearly and having regular check-ins, that is what maintains a healthy relationship and helps the advisor and the client to make good choices for the client, for their family, for where they find themselves at, and recognize that it could be different a few years down the road.
Right. That's good. Yeah, it's very good. Thank you, Cory. And thank you all for tuning in. As always, I know we get ready to wrap up here. But certainly, as always, if you have any questions, if you have an advisor and you want to review your relationship and get a second opinion from us at Falcon Wealth Advisors, you can certainly email me directly at jake@falconwealthadvisors.com or Cory, that's Cory, at falconwealthadvisors.com. We are accepting new clients by invitation and referral only. So thank you again. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope all of you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.